Welcome back to In Time TV's On the Edge. I'm Dr. Jonas Moses. This hour we are doing a special report, a program on conversation in medical education, talking about science, technology, engineering, and math preparedness. Essentially, are we preparing our students to compete in a global economy in this area, in these areas? With me again, Jerry Beimler, Jay Kunin, and Ken Jandis. And thank you so much for joining me this hour. Jerry, I did want to start with you to kind of open up the discussion. You and I had met recently at a conference.
The event you spoke of is Illinois Technology Association.
Indeed.
My affiliation with them comes from their interest in a grant that I had students participate in to try and get people with math, science, and technology expertise to stay in Illinois. I'd be happy if they stayed in the United States. I'd be happy if they existed in large enough numbers in the United States, because at this point, at least I see by the report that Congress has begun to at least rearrange the deck chairs on the Titanic in terms of having the appropriate number of people ready in math, science, technology to remain an international power.
Well, as a template, and I think it's a fair template, Chicago being a fairly large city in the United States, and at least from my perception, I'm not a Chicago resident, but my perception of this time that I've spent in Chicago, public education is significant concern to the mayor and the state government. What kinds of programs are in place right now to address these issues, and where should we be going?
Well, the programs at this point aren't in place to address your concerns. The programs are in place to make sure that we have 4th graders, 8th graders, 12th graders who stop losing ground to their international peers. That doesn't solve the problem. That's what has to happen before you can begin to solve the problem.
Jay?
One of the keys that we have done as a state is we have changed the curriculum. 20 or 25 years ago, we moved off what I would say would be a rigorous curriculum, and we moved to more electives, more options, especially for high school students. We have gone back now to say there needs to be at least 3 years of math, if not 4. There needs to be at least 3 years of science for all high school students. And we have made those as graduation requirements. What we are doing even before that is the whole concept of algebra being an 8th grade subject so that students can be exposed to calculus by the time they're a senior year. Calculus is really a gatekeeper. If we can get students to be in a calculus course and take calculus in the high school level that will enable them to go on to college, that opens so many doors in the math and science area. So we have made a conscious effort to up the curriculum and to put more emphasis on math and science.
Ken, how's that working out?
Well, let me share with you this understanding. I have 2 boys. They're in their 30s right now. Both of them have degrees in one in biochemistry and a second one in computer science. Heavily math and science laden. When my oldest son was looking at colleges, he was looking at IIT. In fact, was accepted at IIT. That was in 1994. That was the year that Nobel physics laureate Leon Letterman was released from the University of Chicago because he had just turned 70. And of course, U of C has that law that once a professor turns 70, they need to move on. IIT immediately looked at Leon and said, come teach with us. And I had a conversation with Leon about that in 1994, and he told me that he took the position at IIT under one condition. And that one condition was that he would teach all of the freshman physics students at IIT. That was his condition. And he said that he would do that simply because he wanted to present a wonderment of science before they became postdocs. And when he did that in 1994, it opened the door for many inner city students to come into his classes. I had a chance to talk to him again in 2001 when he was over at the Illinois Math and Science Academy, where he still is doing some magnificent work. I had a chance to ask him about that program that he developed, and he said to me, Ken, he said, it was a wonderful concept. Unfortunately, it failed. And it failed because those freshman students coming into IIT, having 4 years of math, did not understand basic algebra. That tells me that the teachers preparing these students in the high school probably were not adequately prepared to teach high school math students. And so that conversation, and I was a superintendent. I had just moved into a major suburban area at that particular time. That conversation I had with Leon forced me into really taking a hard look at what our curriculum was about. And over the next 6 years, we put into place a magnificent tool for empowering teachers, for getting all of the crud out of the curriculum, for getting all of the nonsense out of that. We went back to pre-kindergarten and put together a rigorous program that allowed us last year to have every single 7th grade student, and I'm talking about special ed kids, English language learners, every single 7th grade student in pre-algebra. Next year, those students will be in algebra.
We are going to go to a commercial break right now. This hour is already flying by. It's a fascinating topic. I'm Dr. Jonas Moses. You're watching On the Edge, Conversations in Medical Education. This is a special report on preparation in secondary education. Stay with us.